Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonafati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and DOGTV.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the PAL Podcast. I am Chris Bonafati, one of your co-hosts, joined as always by the professional, posh, and prepared Kristen Levine. Kristen, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How was your birthday? You just had a birthday a couple days ago.
I did, yeah. I am now officially 32, which makes me, in terms of all my little nieces and nephews, I'm old. I'm officially old. I got to celebrate it in Italy with my beautiful wife, who is still young and full of youthful vigor. And I'm exhausted. What can I say? Yeah,
I was going to say, you probably still have jet lag.
I'm jet lagged, I'm tired, but I'm fulfilled at the same time. I feel like whenever you go to Europe, there's sort of like this interesting thing where there's a vacation and there's an adventure.
Yeah.
Right, where vacations, like, you don't really do anything. It's on a beach, you relax, you drink Mai Tais. And then there's adventures where it's like, let's squeeze, like, we're going to this really cool place, let's squeeze as much as we can out of it.
Exactly.
We sort of had an in-betweener where we went to Amalfi and Capri and things like that, where it is like vacation-y, but at the same time, it's like, well, who knows if we'll ever even come back here, so we got to really try to see as much as we can. So I am exhausted yet fulfilled.
Well, I'm glad that you took a little time to just relax and didn't jam pack every single, day, because that can get very exhausting. And
it can be, which is why we used a travel agent, and I highly recommend it for all you millennials and Zoomers out there who don't know what a travel agent is. You call them and they make a vacation for you. They plan everything.
It's a beautiful
and
thing.
Then you pay them. They plan the whole thing and you pay them. And then you don't have to plan it yourself. It was spectacular. Truly spectacular.
Well, nothing's changed since you came back from Italy. We still do 2 stories, 2 guests, 2 products, and 2 questions from our listeners here on the Pets Add Life podcast. And I'm excited to share my story this week. So
well, then let's wait no further. Let's wait no longer, and let's jump right into story time.
Kristen and Chris present Storytime.
Okay, so I just thought this was such a cute, funny story, especially since, we did a live show from Las Vegas a few weeks back, and I came across this story. It said, the headline was, Las Vegas dog returned for napping too much. So this is Duke. Duke is a 4-year-old dog. He was returned to a Las Vegas animal shelter for being too boring. Shortly after they adopted him, they brought him back and just said he lays on the couch all day. He doesn't come to the door to greet us when we come home. So they returned him to the shelter. But the good news is that he quickly found this went out on social and just, as you can imagine, went viral. And Duke quickly found a new foster home, and he's actually probably been adopted by now by that foster family. But everybody, of course, on social media was defending Duke and saying that he's the perfect dog. I mean, maybe the family was super boring and he was just unimpressed. So I thought that was.
I'm a Duke defender. I firmly believe that Duke was right this entire time. Sometimes it's nice to just chill. I mean, it's Vegas. It's hot. It's the desert. What do you want? What do you want him to do? Like, honestly,
exactly.
What do you want him to do?
Exactly.
Like, if you don't give him a reason to get excited when you come home, what is he's going to jump off the couch and do backflips just because you managed to unlock a door? Big whoop.
Exactly. I know. A Duke is the kind of dog that everybody would love to adopt. Just chillaxing, and I'm just.
So I've always said that, I wouldn't make a good dog owner. I just don't have that type of energy, especially in the morning. But if somebody could guarantee me a Duke, I think I can manage that. Just guarantee this dog will match your lazy energy. Yeah, I think I can handle that.
Oh my goodness. All right. What's your story today?
Yeah, my story also involves a dog. So this is a story out of LA. And I don't know if you've ever done hikes in LA County where, it's like mostly dirt and it's still hot. It's like basically desert, but you kind of go up the switchbacks up the hills of Los Angeles.
Okay.
So this was a 3-mile hike that this group was doing, and they get to the summit, and there is a uncollared, unleashed German Shepherd who has an empty water bowl next to him, was not being very verbal, was not moving, and just seemingly exhausted, dehydrated, and stuck. So this group of hikers, recognizing that this was a sunset hike, they're probably going to be the last people coming up for the day. They tried to, encourage the dog to walk with them. He wouldn't move, but he was like, he was falling apart. He was exhausted.
Yeah.
So they ended up taking a blanket out of one of their bags and laid the blanket down, got the dog to go in the blanket, and ended up carrying this dog down in like a blanket parachute.
Wow.
I'll keep this in the show notes because there's obviously a video that goes with this of the group carrying the dog down. The dog was brought to the vet, ended up being fine, just exhausted, hadn't slept, dehydrated. You know how German Shepherds could be with the hypervigilance.
Sure. And all that fur.
Ended up being fine, brought to a non-kill shelter. And the group, this is as of the time this story was written, the group was trying to decide if somebody within the group wanted to adopt the German Shepherd, who is still unnamed, but there's a picture of him back in his new foster home. So he did end up at a foster home. There's a picture of him in his new foster home, all nice and relaxed on a big warm blanket with a bone. So it's a happy story, but great on these people for being innovative and not letting this dog stay up on that mountain on their own.
Yep. Finding a way to get him down to safety. That's a good story. But you gotta wonder you gotta wonder how he ended up there by himself with no collar, no leash. Like, isn't anybody looking for him?
To me, it reads like he was abandoned up there.
Yeah.
Somebody brought him up the mountain and left him there on purpose, which is awful. But it's good to know that he is now in a home where he is very much so wanted.
Wonderful.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
And joining us now is Traci Pryor, who's an enthusiastic advocate for pet health and well-being, serving as a key organizer for the world's largest pet walk. As a representative of this annual event, Traci works closely with pet partners to encourage pet owners and communities to get active while raising funds for the therapy animal program. This year marks the 7th annual World's Largest Pet Walk, happening on Saturday, September 28th, where participants are invited to walk any distance at any time and in any location. How convenient. Traci's dedication to promoting the health and benefits of walking with pets while also supporting a cause that brings joy and healing to those in need is truly inspiring. Traci, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to talk a little bit about this great event.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. Give us the basic rundown of the world's largest pet walk and what it entails.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. The World's Largest Pet Walk is a national signature event for Pet Partners. And Pet Partners is really the leading therapy animal organization, nonprofit organization in the country. We have thousands of passionate handlers, which are humans that alongside their therapy animals go out into the community and share unconditional love. They're going to hospitals, nursing homes, veteran centers, schools, hospice, anywhere someone could benefit from the love, comfort, stress reduction that therapy animals provide. And so the World's Largest Pet Walk is a way to celebrate that, the health benefits of being active with our pets, and also raising money that will go to help us to recruit additional therapy animal teams to make millions of visits across the country and the world. The event's going to be we're excited about it. This is a great event because even if you have an animal that may be not suitable to be a therapy animal. So for example, people often assume that since I work for Pet Partners, my dog is well behaved and well suited to be a therapy animal. He's sleeping right beside me right now. He's a basset hound. He's probably not going to be a therapy animal, but I want to be able to support what we're doing. So this is a great way that folks that want to support the therapy animal program and the human animal bonds to be active and volunteer with Pet Partners. So wherever you are, whatever type of animal you have. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that is what is most unique and super cool about this pet walk is that it's not at a specific location, right? You can participate from wherever you are.
Yes, that's true. So, really, when we say the world's largest pet walk, it's because pet parents from across the country and the world can sign up online. You can go to petpartners.org and learn all about it. Most people will choose to walk on Saturday, September 28th, as Chris mentioned, but really anytime, you can walk whatever distance. You can walk alone. Like I've seen a lot of our folks that sign up and they just go on a great nature hike with their pet or they walk around the block. That's about as far as Frisco, my 11-year-old basset hound can go. So we go around the block. But some people gather with family members or friends. We've had handlers get together that all visit at the same facility and they lead a walk, like at the nursing home where they visit. We've had classrooms participate, walking alongside cherished family pets or therapy animals that do their reading program with them. And it's also open to all types of pets. So we've had dogs, we've had people carry little animals in their walking strollers. It's just really, really fun. So that it's flexible in that you decide what works best for you. So if you want to take it slow and maybe have a more quiet walk with just a couple of pets, that's fine. If you want to gather with your community or your colleagues, that's great too. We've seen a lot of interest the last few years in corporate teams forming walk teams because a lot of companies want to show that they are enjoying and appreciative of the human animal bond. And this is a great way to do it. So we've had a lot of companies, Wellness Pet Company is one of our sponsors. They always get a huge group together up in the Northeast. Blue Shield of California, they've had hundreds and hundreds of folks get together to walk with their pets to support pet partners. So it's really flexible, it's really fun, and you can make it work for you.
Yeah, and this year the APPA team here in Stamford has set up our own page and will be participating in the pet walk. I don't think Tiger is fit for a walk. She has now started to meow for me to bring her downstairs. So I don't think...
So Tiger's your cat?
She's my cat. Yeah, she's 21 years old. So I don't think she will be walking, but there are other...
her and walk around your yard.
Yes, maybe some of that. But there are other pets in my life who could use a good walking. So I think we'll stick with that.
Yeah, you mentioned, so your team was able to sign up. You can sign up as an individual online, or you can sign up as a team. And when you do that, you can put in photos of your team. You can share what you're doing, why you're doing it. You can share updates. You can track your miles. You can win some great prizes. Like we have, as folks raise different amounts of money, they can earn pet bandanas, t-shirts, and other great things. We do lots of awards and shout outs to folks doing creative things. We try to have our walkers inspire one another. So when we see something really cool going on in one place of the country, we always share it with the rest of the folks that are planning events or planning gatherings to make sure that it's creative and fun.
Speaking of inspiring other walkers, Traci, can you think of any heartwarming stories from previous walks that really kind of demonstrate how the walk and raising money for pet partners impacts the community?
Yeah, it's just always so great when we see our communities come together. And oftentimes people use that time to gather with folks that have had direct benefits from pet partners. So whenever I see folks coming together, where it may be therapy animals and people with their pets, you always hear people telling stories. You always hear people say, I'm doing this because I remember when my son was in the hospital and he was sick, the brightest point of his day was when the therapy animal from Pet Partners came to visit. It's sometimes when these challenges that are happening, whether it be you're away from home because you're in a hospital, because you're sick, you're facing a health challenge, it's a big challenge. It's extremely stressful. It's a hardship. And sometimes it's amazing that something as simple as 10 minutes with an animal can brighten your day, make you feel more connected, less stressed. So our handlers understand that. They can't fix everything, but they can certainly brighten someone's day and bring a little joy, not just to the patients, but to their families and to the staff there. So I'd say the most powerful thing is when you just hear the natural conversations of gratitude that happen when folks get together. They're sharing stories of the ways that their own lives have been impacted by therapy animals in their community. But also it's just great to see people out there being active and healthy with their pets. We all know that there are so many health benefits to walking with our pets, and we walk more because we have pets. And so this is a day to also raise awareness of that, to just say, get out there and walk, be active. be active together. It's good for you, it's good for your animals, and it's great when we gather together with friends doing something positive.
Yeah, it turns out walking is really, really good for you. And who knows, maybe you'll go out on the 28th and you'll discover you really got a knack for it, or you'll find a really cool trail somewhere that you didn't know was near your home. So it's always fun to get outside. Take it from a vampire like myself. Sometimes it is nice to go outside and take a stroll. But I think it's awesome what you guys are doing with these therapy animals. And I think it's really cool that as a society, we've found more and more places to inject animal therapy. For example, a lot of the college campuses now have, like during finals week, basically like a therapy animal petting zoo where you could go in and just hold a fluffy animal for about 10 to 20 minutes and just sort of feel the weight of the world sort of just relax and lift off of your shoulders. And Kristen and I have shared a lot of stories on this show about unique ways that therapy animals have been utilized in different communities. So I think it's really great what Pet Partners are doing. So how exactly does the world's largest pet walk support the kind of important work that Pet Partners is trying to achieve?
Yeah, great question. And I'm so glad you've kind of recognized all of these different populations that are being served by these types of programs. Pet Partners therapy animals are going out, whether it be preschoolers learning to read with our Read With Me program, or our crisis response program when our handlers go into communities after they've been affected by unexpected tragedies like school shootings or natural disasters, to our Walk With Me program, where we go into oftentimes like senior care communities where maybe they're having a hard time keeping folks up and active. Hey, would you like to go out and walk with a mini horse or a golden retriever today? Might be a little bit more fun. And so what we do with the world's largest pet walk is we raise funds first and foremost. At Pet Partners, we work really hard to recruit our handlers, to educate them, to provide ongoing support, to provide their liability insurance so that they can go into these facilities, to connect them with the facilities that are seeking visits. So all the funds raised are invested back into our therapy animal program. With COVID, a lot of like a few year period is in a significant part of an animal's life, so a lot of our therapy animals kind of retired during that time or passed away during that time. And so we saw a reduction in our therapy animal teams. Just at the same time as society and facilities were opening back up, we saw a huge spike in the number of requests for visits to kind of overcome this isolation and loneliness that people had been facing for such a long time. So one of the big things we're working on now is building back up that therapy animal program team count to where we were before the pandemic, so that we can meet this need. And so all of the fundraise will go directly into this program, investing back into communities all across the country.
Well, I can't think of a better reason to get out on Saturday and walk with your animal, with your friends, with your cat, Chris.
Maybe.
Where can we send folks online to just sign up or just to get more information?
Yeah, you can go to petpartners.org. Right on the homepage is the link to sign up for the walk. Also, to find out more information, maybe some folks might want to consider becoming a therapy animal handler themselves. So go to that site. You can learn all about the world's largest pet walk, also about the program and the ways we're touching lives all across the country.
Awesome. I'll definitely be checking it out. Traci, thank you so much for your time today. Everybody listening, head on over to that website. Go ahead and sign up. Even if you just walk half a mile, even if you just walk your old cat around in your yard, any participation, any amplification, and any monetary support is much appreciated. So thank you, Traci, and thanks for everybody listening for checking this out.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Kristen.
I love that the walk is all about like choose your own adventure, choose what works for you. I used to, back in the day when I worked for the SPCA in Tampa, we had a pet walk, but you had to be there physically in person. And that left a lot of people out who couldn't, if you had a dog that wasn't socialized or you couldn't make it that day or at that time, you were just out for the walk. But this is such a smart way to approach a dog walk. And it's also probably why they can call it the world's largest dog walk, because you can literally participate from anywhere at any time.
It might be cheating. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on the technicalities of it. Might be cheating. But one of the things I love about stuff like this is getting onto the socials and like looking at the hashtag and seeing all of these other people and the way that they have decided to celebrate. And I've talked about it before, just the breadth and depth of experience in the pet industry could be so vibrantly different depending on where you are, who you are, what kind of animal you have. And it's pretty amazing. Okay, and joining us now is Miles Thorson, the CEO and co-founder of Odie Pet Insurance, a company that's revolutionizing the pet insurance industry by offering flexible and affordable coverage options for pet owners. With a background in business and a passion for pets, Miles recognized the need for a pet insurance solution that was both comprehensive and accessible. Under his leadership, Odie has quickly grown to become a trusted name in pet insurance, known for its customer-centric approach and commitment to making pet care affordable for all. Miles' dedication to innovation and transparency in the insurance industry has earned Odie a loyal customer base and widespread recognition. And believe it or not, September is actually National Pet Insurance Month. So it's a great time to get educated. It's great to have Miles here to talk about some of the ins and outs of the industry. So Miles, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast and joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, I really appreciate it and excited to be here.
So we'll go right off the bat here and, kind of do a little bit of a backgrounder. So, coming from a business background, how did you sort of identify the need for better options in pet insurance, and sort of what made you take that initial step forward to getting Odie started?
Yeah. So on a personal note, I mean, I grew up in the insurance business. I've had the good fortune of working alongside my family across a lot of different verticals in the property and casualty space, and that's where pet insurance falls in terms of the regulatory side of our business. And a pretty extensive background in identifying underserved markets or niches of our industry where we feel that there's improvements to be had, whether that's better underwriting or better distribution, or a combination of the two. And my wife and I, we were looking at pet insurance for our own two dogs a number of years ago. As they were kind of getting into that middle-aged group of pet age, and we just felt that we were a little underwhelmed with what was in the market. And then we started just taking a very curious approach to hey, what else is out there? Why are there such limited options here in the U.S. When the pet humanization trend is exploding? Why is the insurance side of this of pet ownership so far behind? And so really just started to understand that hey, there's some missed opportunities here in terms of how folks are going about pricing their coverage, how they're going about determining, what is the most competitive coverage and what the consumers are really looking for, and what really is value proposition. And, we just felt that we could make some improvements on more proactively putting the coverage in front of people and helping address what we believe is, pretty large educational barrier. And then from there, just providing, to your point, more comprehensive coverage at a more accessible price point. We feel like, right now there's really, 3% of the U.S. population carries pet insurance. And that was really what we decided to go after the most, was how do we attract new people into the space versus just trying to compete, and take clients from somebody else. We want to make the market bigger. We want to make it more accessible. So that's how we got into it. And it's been a pretty fun ride since I think we've been at it since 2020.
Yeah. So Miles, I'm always amazed when I hear that statistic that 2 or 3% of American pet parents have pet insurance. I've had pet insurance for the past 15 years or so for my dogs. What do you think? What do you attribute that to? Is it lack of education? Yeah. Is it affordability? Like, what are your thoughts around that?
I think it's a combination of a few things, of course, right? Mm-hmm. You look at countries in Europe that have a much greater penetration rate, and there's just different behaviors that we see over there. I think a lot of these European countries are much more used to kind of what I call, micro insurance. They're used to maybe having a standalone policy for their bike, for their expensive camera, for travel insurance, all that kind of stuff. And here in the U.S., we just don't necessarily have that same sort of behavior built into our culture. But I think that millennial and younger generations have become much more, financially savvy and are looking at things like pet insurance, as viable and more meaningful, things to carry. But really, what we see, I think, as if I had to just pick one, I'd say that the distribution of pet insurance historically in the U.S. has, by large in part, been through vet offices. And I think the problem with that, while vets are in a great position to provide education, and obviously there's that immediate use case, right, or potential pain point when someone's in the vet office to consider pet insurance as a viable product. Unfortunately, if they're in the vet office experiencing an actual health event and they buy pet insurance after the fact, that condition or that visit is not going to be covered because most, if not all, pet insurance policies here in the U.S. Exclude what we call pre-existing conditions, and so I think the distribution of the product almost by definition minimizes the value proposition when somebody goes home after a vet visit, buys a plan, and then realizes, oh, what I thought I was going to get coverage for is actually not going to be covered. Mm-hmm. So the education needs to happen much sooner in the lifespan of the pet owner and the pet themselves. And so finding alternative distribution and addressing that educational barrier before they're in the vet office is really, I think, the crux of the matter.
Like we're doing right now.
Yeah,
that's right.
Like we're doing right now. And obviously, vet care costs are skyrocketing. I mean, the cost of living is just skyrocketing. Yeah. So this is a topic that's more applicable than it's ever been. Specifically, how have you gone about addressing that rising cost while still making sure that the insurance is a valuable opportunity to the consumer?
Yeah, I think, again, there's a number of things, but, the way our coverage and pricing works is everything's very modular, very flexible. So instead of sort of pushing a one size fits all, top tier plan with unlimited annual limits and no deductible and, always inclusive of certain coverages, but always exclusive of other coverages, we wanted to bring a much more flexible option to the table and really allow people to that are a bit more budget conscious, or maybe they're younger, their pets are younger, they don't need all these bells and whistles, but they still need just core primary sort of basic coverage. We wanted to lower that barrier to entry and allow them to pick and choose coverage that fits not only their pet's needs but also their own financial needs. And so, I think, again, that's one of the small steps we're trying to take to broaden the marketplace, bring more people in, and get people exposed to, hey, I can start with coverage for, $19 a month versus some large competitors in our space. Their plans start $70, $100, $200 a month. And if you're 25 years old, first job and living in New York City, where I'm sitting right now, and you adopt a pet, you're probably not going to pay $150 a month for pet insurance. You're just going to go without coverage altogether. And that's the exact, opposite effect of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
One of my, I've been advocating for pet insurance for a long time. And one of the things I like to point out to people is that it really affords you the opportunity to be able to provide the very best care for your pet if your pet should become sick or injured, and you will no longer have to make decisions about your pet's healthcare based upon your pocketbook. I mean, that's just, to me, that's like the biggest benefit. And, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but
I mean, you nailed it. I mean, in my opinion, this, pet insurance is really, it should just become like part of pet ownership. You don't drive a car without proper coverage. You don't, rent an apartment or buy a house without coverage, because, with inflation and cost of vet care going up, and even more and more medical innovation that's occurring, right? We can extend the lives of our pets, and we have pretty amazing, healthcare capabilities, but, sometimes there's a big financial, burden to that. So just removing that question mark, and I get this question all the time. Well, I can afford an $8,000 bill. What's the big deal? Well, even if you can, like, why would you want to, right? Why take even on that emotional stress, that emotional burden of having to call your family and say, hey, is this something we should do in terms of, providing
Sure.
the care that your pet needs or not? And so we have seen that play out quite a bit with folks that otherwise, could afford a pretty extensive vet bill, but they're like, it was just so comforting knowing we could just focus on our pet and not have to even think about it.
Yeah, that's definitely true, because that could be, an impossible conversation where there's no right answer and you're just picking where you're going to lose.
Right. That's right.
So, we've got some listeners out there, obviously, with that statistic, 3% owning pet insurance. We've obviously got some listeners out there who don't have pet insurance and maybe wondering where to get started. I mean, me as like a clueless millennial, I get my like car and condo insurance through a broker, but that's not really an option. There's really no person I could call and just say, hey, break it down for me. What are my options? So where would you recommend somebody start if they want to learn more, kind of learn about the industry and see what kind of options are out there and work it into their budget?
Yeah, I mean, historically, I've talked about the distribution to the vets, and then of course there's been a large push of online presence with a lot of pet insurance providers. So there's a lot of information out there online. There really is. There's amazing blog posts that sort of have a very objective viewpoint on coverage and different providers and things like that. And oftentimes those do make recommendations and provide, click-throughs to certain brands. There's online aggregators that kind of, you can get, 10 quotes at one time, or you can just kind of, go through consumer referrals and end up with the brand and, get quotes yourself. Odie is a bit different. We certainly have our direct-to-consumer presence. However, most of what we've done to date is actually embed our quoting, capabilities and policy purchasing capabilities into other insurance experiences or other pet care experiences. And we believe that really, again, proactively puts the product and some education in front of people. So if you're buying renter's insurance through one of our partners and you check, on your rental application that you do have a pet, we can actually absorb that information and then proactively recommend, our pet insurance plans to those consumers. And we do see a large conversion rate, which is great, I think, because people are, through those partnership scenarios, they're in an insurance mindset.
Right.
Or employee benefits is another big vertical that we focus on. So there's a myriad ways. Again, we are trying to put it in front of people so that they don't have to decide one night, okay, I'm going to sit down and find pet insurance. We want to make it, convenient and make it more top of mind when they're making other financial decisions.
That's really smart. So it's kind of like bundling that decision with other insurance decisions. Yeah. That's
and
really
let's
smart.
say, I think when I was doing some research into pet insurance, it's actually funny. My little brother just adopted a cat and he asked for some advice, and me being me, I sent him back a dissertation. And then his follow-up question was, well, what about insurance? And I'm like, crap, I don't know. So I did some research and I was actually shocked at how affordable pet insurance can be. So can you talk a little bit about, like, if somebody's really like, I can't afford it, I really can't afford it. Obviously the talking point is, well, if you can't afford that, you're not going to be able to afford the expensive vet bill. But what does a the lowest tier budget type plan really get you nowadays?
Yeah. So ourselves and a few others have some accident only plans is typically what they're called. So, it'll address 50, 60% of what is likely to happen in your pet's life. Especially younger pets, we tend to see they'll find a nasty habit of swallowing your socks or getting into the chocolate brownie plate on the kitchen table or whatever the case may be. So those types of foreign ingestion, or a friend of ours had a corgi puppy with obviously the short little legs, and just sort of a mundane jump off the couch, and unfortunately $7,000 later for a fractured leg was the case there. So those accident plans are, I think, great for someone that's just like brand new to pet insurance, they're super budget conscious. I mean, those can start, $8 to $10 a month, and oftentimes go up to, $10,000 of coverage and things like that. And then we also have, and again, other folks do as well, wellness plans or routine care plans. So basically prepaying for a schedule of values that, for things that are going to come up in that year in your pet's life. So, just annual checkups, vaccinations, blood work, flea and tick and heartworm medications and things like that. So I think sort of a combination of a accident plan and a wellness plan or routine care plan is a really phenomenal starting point, and that should keep your monthly rate in the $20 ballpark, right? Yeah. Kind of just depending, right? So I think that's a really phenomenal place to get started, and and then if you want more of the accident illness coverage, again, ourselves and some others are starting to offer very basic, $5,000 a year of coverage, which really, again, lowers that entry point where you're not paying for this unlimited plan that is a bit more of a marketing strategy, and they're charging for it, right? So it's much better to have a few $1,000s worth of coverage for that emergency versus foregoing it altogether.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great point. Well, excellent timing to have you here for National Pet Insurance Month, Miles. We appreciate you educating us. And so does Odie offer a direct-to-consumer option, or how would we learn more about
our
that?
homepage is getodie.com, and you can get our entire suite of products and customizability of all the different coverage features. Whether it's you need prescription coverage, or you want acupuncture and chiropractic care or not. All those different fun options. And so, that's definitely available. And like I said, we also have a number of partners through the employee benefits vertical and other insurance lines. So you might even come across us, maybe when you're choosing your own health insurance. So
there you go.
Fantastic.
That's absolutely awesome. It's really astounding to see how far pet insurance has come. When I was growing up and we had animals, that wasn't even a thought in our minds. So it's really great that there's folks like yourself out there watching everybody's back. So Miles, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us on the podcast, giving us some of that information. And I'm sure there's plenty of people listening at home who are hitting the internet hard right now to try and find some of those solutions. Because I think as soon as you say, like, there's coverage options out there for $20 a month, that gets people's gears churning.
Well, and like I said, whether it's with us or with someone else, we do really believe in just expanding the market and providing that education. So I appreciate what you guys do, because it is a very valuable service to people with pets that haven't considered it before. So thank you.
Great to meet you, Miles.
Thanks, guys.
It was great having Miles for National Pet Health Insurance Month, which is September every year. There's 179 million pets in North America, only about 1.5 million insured. So that is a worrying trend if I ever saw one. So Miles was great to give us some information. I think, like I said, when people hear how affordable it is, it kind of becomes a no-brainer.
Yeah, I was really surprised to hear him say they have plans starting at $8 or $9, and even very, very intriguing. So especially, I've been paying a lot more than that for my pet insurance. But yeah, I think it's great that he's making things more flexible and affordable for pet owners.
The product of the week.
All right, so my product of the week comes from Roughwear, who we've actually talked about on this show before. They have so many great products.
I love that brand.
This is one that my friend uses. They live close to a trail. They have active dogs, and so they use the hitchhiker leash. And the hitchhiker leash is really cool because you wear it as a belt. So you get both of your hands free, which is awesome. Like that is if you're going to be walking for a long time, you don't want to have to be holding your poop bags and the leash and everything like that. You want to be able to grab your water bottle and just have your hands free. It's more comfortable that way. So now you're probably asking, well, how do you control the lead? On your little utility belt here is a climbing hitch. And a hitch is essentially a button or switch you press that will lock the rope into place. And then on the back of your utility belt is a pack. So you've got your belt and then the rope. And as the dog goes out, the rope pulls out of the bag, and then you hitch how far you want to go. And when you want to bring it back in, you unhitch it, and you could just run the rope back into.
So does it retract? Does it actually retract? It
doesn't retract hard because there's no mechanism in there, but it's like a nice little bag back there. And it does, if you're keen and you know how to ravel a rope, it's really easy to just throw it back in there. But it's great. It's got extra loops if you wanted to clip like a water bottle or the poop bags or anything else around the belt. I consider this to be Batman's utility belt for the avid dog walker.
Batman had really a dog.
Cool. And he does in some. His name's Ace. He's a big black Great Dane. He has appeared in several comics.
Of course, you know that.
Hasn't appeared since I think 2005. The new Robin, Damian Wayne, is really the animal guy now. I won't get into that.
Okay.
Anyway, nonetheless, it's a great piece of equipment. Retails right on their website for $65. So a higher end piece. But if you are somebody who's going to be taking advantage of a long walk, it's a great option. They have all sorts of other ones too. So check out the website. They have all sorts of other designs. Find the one that's right for you and your dog. And that can be found right at roughwear.com. Link will be in the show notes as always.
That's a good one. I have one that I actually found when we were in Vegas, and I love it. I've already started using 2 of them for my dog, Tulip. So 2 of the most challenging things that dog parents encounter is, the first one is giving their pet medication if they're on a daily medication. Some dog, there's probably a good number of dogs that you can just like put it in a pill pocket or something and toss it and they snap it up. But a lot of dogs don't like to take their medication. They don't like the way it smells. They don't like the way it tastes. And then you end up kind of struggling with your dog to give them the pill. Then sometimes they spit it out when you're not looking. So I found this really cool new innovation and functionality that's by a company called Vitality, and it's called Twist and Lick. And they make several different versions. They're gels that are in looks like a little deodorant stick, and you twist the bottom wheel and it squirts up this gel out of the top. And the gel comes in a few tasty flavors for dogs, like peanut butter and chicken and bacon, something like that. I don't remember exactly. But what it does is the gel, you put the pill on top of the container, and the gel, as you twist it up, surrounds the pill and masks the smell and the taste. And so your dog will just literally lick the gel off the top of the dispenser, and there you go. You've easily pilled your dog. They also make a dental gel, which is pretty cool because, about 80% of dogs over the age of 3, I believe it is, have some level of periodontal disease. And from what I read, only 2% of us are actually brushing our dog's teeth because it's just not that easy unless you start when they're really, really young. So the Twist and Lick has a dental gel version that you twist the bottom, the dental gel comes out the top. It tastes yummy because Tulip loves it. And it creates this biofilm that coats their teeth and gums to protect from plaque and tartar buildup. So that's the kind of thing you probably want to do once a day, but certainly easier and less stressful than trying to brush your dog's teeth. So I thought those were 2 smart innovations, and they're coming out with a whole line of supplements this fall as well with that same delivery mechanism. So smart stuff.
That's awesome. I know there's a lot of people out there who request the tablet-based pills for their dogs so they could crush it up like they're in a fraternity home in 2019 and lace the dog's food with it. But that's a whole process. It's really tough. It's really tough to get an animal to take medication. So anything out there that makes it more straightforward and easy, it's good for you. It's good for the animal because you're giving them that medicine because they need it, not
Exactly.
because it's fun for you. So anything like that. And I love the idea of taking care of the teeth. I mean, there's a lot of products out there to help take care of your animal's teeth, but not a lot of people realize that that's something that is more of a need than a want. You really
Right.
should be doing something for it.
Right. And there are
So,
enough,
that's great
there's
stuff.
enough variety of dental care products out there that you can find something that will work for your dog or your cat. I'll make sure we put those twist and lick links in the show notes for you.
Q&As.
All right, Kristen, it's time for our favorite segment of the show. That's right. We're going to answer 2 questions from you all today. And if you would like your question answered on the PAL podcast, you could go right on over to petsaddlife.org/podcast. Scroll on down to the bottom of the page, type your question out. Or if you're feeling as brave as Kristen was when she held the snake during the live show, you could submit a voice memo and your question will be played live on this show. So without further ado, Kristen, I got a question for you.
All right.
And this question comes from Sarah from Portland, Oregon. Thank you, Sarah. My dog has developed a habit of digging up our yard, especially in the flower beds. What are some effective ways to redirect this behavior and keep my garden intact? Great question.
It is a great question. And I used to have a digger, so I can completely relate to the frustration of having a dog that digs where you don't want them to, or, digs at all. So there are a few different reasons why your dog may be digging, Sarah. Either he's looking for attention, he's burning off excess energy, or maybe he just thinks it's a lot of fun. Some people will even say that, dogs will dig to get to the cooler earth underneath. So that's also a possibility. So there's a few different things you can do. You can, this is actually what we did for our dog Oreo, when she would literally dig holes so deep that you would only see her butt sticking out of the ground when you walked outside. That's how deep these holes were. So rather than try to stop her from digging it completely, we created a digging area where we were okay with her digging, specific spot where, you can even encourage the digging by burying a toy or something like that. But if you are if your goal is to get the dog to stop digging completely, I would say make sure that he or she is getting enough mental exercise and physical exercise. It could be that he's just not, he's, like I said, he's burning off excess energy. So maybe add an extra walk during the day, or maybe he can go to a doggy daycare 1 day a week or 2 days a week. Another thing you can do is, sorry about that. Supervise him, keep a closer eye on him, and redirect the behavior. If you see he starts to dig, you can, offer him one of his favorite chew toys or start a game of fetch. Of course, that requires you to be paying close attention. And then you can also block areas. If you don't like where he's digging, you could certainly put up some kind of barrier. I don't know how big this dog is, so, it's going to depend on how much effort you're willing to put into erecting some kind of structure to prevent him from digging if he's larger. And then, of course, you could just provide alternative activities for him, maybe not letting him outside in the yard when you can't supervise him, and get him some enrichment toys, some long-lasting chew toys, that sort of thing. And then finally, I have to always end with, consider if it's anxiety or stress that he's, that's causing the digging. So you might need to talk to your veterinarian if none of these other tips solve the problem. So good luck there with Digger Dog.
Yes, best of luck to you. It can be tough behavior to redirect, but those are some great words of advice there, Kristen.
Thanks. And now we have a cat question for you, Chris. So this
cat
one comes
question
in
for Chris.
Our cat guy, resident cat guy. This one's from Robert in San Antonio, Texas. He says, I've noticed my older cat drinking and urinating a lot more than usual. Could this be a sign of a serious health issue? And what should I ask my vet to check on during our next visit?
Yeah, this is a great question. What I say with older cats is by the time they're old, past 7, they are pure creatures of habit. They're going to start doing the same thing every single day. They're going to want to eat at the same time. They're going to go to the bathroom at the same time. They're going to drink water at the same time. If they still play, they're going to play at the same time. They're going to scratch your furniture at the same time. So any change in their usual routine is them subconsciously communicating that something's wrong. I've seen questions about, my cat suddenly stopped using the litter box. They're associating the litter box with something negative now, so they made a change. What's wrong with it? If your cat is drinking and urinating more than they usually do, something has changed, and frankly, it's not going to be good. That's a quick vet visit. It's likely either their kidneys or diabetes. That said, our Maine Coon growing up, Gizmo, went into renal failure 4 times over the course of 6 years before he died.
Wow.
So it's not always terminal. It can be managed with medication, and you may just have to change some of their dietary habits. You may have to switch to a higher quality food with less corn. You may have to switch from dry to wet food. There's going to be some strategies, but this is a 100% every single time for anybody listening out there. This is a 100%. Don't ask Chris. Go to your vet. Go to your vet now. Don't wait till the next visit. I saw in the question, you say, on my next visit. Don't wait. Call the vet. Say, I think it's an emergency. I've noticed a change in behavior specifically around those 2 things. And the vet's going to know, yeah, bring them in. Let's have a look. The sooner that stuff gets detected, the more effective the treatment will be. So don't ask me. You did, and I'm glad you did. But go ask your vet too.
Yeah, I seriously, yeah, don't put it off for sure.
Yep.
These things can exacerbate quickly, and the sooner you get your cat help, the sooner you're on your road to recovery.
All right. Well, Kristen, another Tuesday in the books.
That's right.
Another podcast episode wrapped up. Yeah, that one was pretty good.
It was pretty good, especially considering world traveler Chris just got back and still has jet lag. I think you did a good job.
It's absolutely incredible how we kept this podcast going despite busy travel schedules across the board. I'm not going to let you folks in on the secret. What we do is spectacular, cannot be copied, cannot be, you can't find anybody else doing it like we're doing.
Never been done before.
We go around the world. All 3 of us. Here's a secret I'll share with you. There's a 3rd guy behind the camera named Ron. He is without him, none of this happens. He goes around the world too. He's got a whole family that he brings places, and we still bring this show to you every Tuesday without fail. So
it's unmatched dedication,
Tuesday,
really.
It's truly unmatched. Next Tuesday, we're going to have another show for you. I can't wait. So until then, be kind to yourself, be kind to your pets, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.